The thin ones are, yeah. They have lots of traps in there. So I always make sure and defeat their traps. Like I put no titles, spelt my name in all lowercase. They always send it back. I'll show you how they, because I've got lots of dismissals and stuff here. See here, you're Mr. Winningham. And there's other ones. That's Bobby Mills. There's another one. That's Glenn Winningham Fern. They kind of go all over the place. There's Dear Mr. Winningham, giving me a title.
Can I grab some of your tea, Glenn?
That's, yeah, sure. That's where they dismissed it at the appeals. Filed a bar grievances against the Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, Glenn Winningham, and they dismiss them all, and I appeal them. So they come back. That's how they should do it. If you look at President Trump's letter, it's just Glenn Winningham. And notice it's just Fort Worth, Texas. He doesn't put a street address on it.
Why did he not do that?
Well, I think it ties it to the city. See what I'm saying? On the envelope it had a street address, but not in the, matter of fact, I think I've got the envelope right here. And the original letter.
So this is a debt collector action?
Well, the one that we're gonna go to right now is the third party debt collector.
Alright.
Oh yeah, here it is. This is the original one. And it's got the zip code, but it's Mr. Glenn Winningham. And then here's the actual letter. And that's just a scanned up printed image. Yeah, kind of nice. But it's not unusual to see him do that, Mr. Glenn Winningham. See what I'm saying? House of Fern at common law, only the given names are mentioned, not the family name.
Right. It's like Jesus of Nazareth.
That's right. Okay, so this is, so I do all sorts of stuff to avoid the, let them know that I'm not a government employee, employer, NA, I do not work for government. Telephone, cell phone, NOYB, you know what that stands for? There you go. I'm very careful how I spell this email address so that they can hopefully communicate with me that way. I don't have a problem with that. Driver's license, NA, date of birth, hearsay. But I do remember finishing high school in 1975, more than 40 years ago. And then a friend of mine that's agreed to be a point of contact if necessary. And what happened is I was doing a bunch of these bar grievances against all these third-party debt collector, right? There's all the officers of all the partners in the law firm. And so what I did was I prepared one, and then made color copies of it, so that I could save myself some writer's cramp. You know what I mean? Made color copies, and so that's why if you notice here, the ink color is a little bit different than here, because they all had the same address. It's a lot quicker that way. San Antonio, Texas, and I got their bar number off the bar's website, and their phone number off of there too. So I NA everything. No NA, no NA has the attorney, her attorney hired to represent me. This attorney was hired to represent someone else, and so that's NA. Give the date the attorney was hired, unknown. And what's the attorney hired to do? Represent the city of Grapevine thieves and military pigs. And what was your fee arrangement? None. How much did you pay the attorney? Nothing. And if you did not hire the attorney, what's your connection? Grapevine military pigs assaulted me with their kangaroo court. Are you currently represented by an attorney? No. If yes, please provide information about your current attorney, NA, and no, and no. Where did the activity you're complained of occur? Tarrant County, Grapevine. Is it about a lawsuit? And I put down the name of the kangaroo court, state of Texas versus, and then this P03238129, August 28, 2019. And I'm a respondent, okay? They like to call you a defendant. I'm a respondent. And so then, this is all handwritten. And so again, this is what I did was I hand wrote this thing and left the name out. And then I hand wrote the name in. I made color copies. And then I hand wrote. I can make color copies with my printer, ink printer there. And so then I hand write the names in afterwards. You see what I'm saying? It saved me a lot of writer's cramp, let me tell you, because there's a lot of writing here, let me tell you. After doing a couple of them, I figured, well, I got to have a simpler way of doing this. I'm going to be doing a bunch of them. There was like 9. Anyways.
Of the partners.
Yeah. So I started off as a direct descendant of the founders and as posterity found in the preamble of the Constitution of the United States of America, I declare the following. Number 1, Donald Strecker is a partner in Linebarger, Gogan, Blair, and Sampson LLP and required to know the law and is, now that's hard to read, matter of fact, law, is that what it says, law?
The law and is responsible.
Yeah, law, right, yeah. And is responsible for the crimes described herein. And so, this is one thing that Randy Kelton said, okay, is all you have to do is I have reason to believe and do believe. So that's one thing I've been changing what I do, is I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker sent a threatening communication through the mail, 18 U.S.C. 876, which is a felony. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker sent threats through the mail to a protected person under international law, 18 U.S.C. 878. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker perjured his oath of office by demanding fake money and assaulting me with his District of Columbia codes, violating Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 by engaging in all of the crimes described herein. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker sent mail to a fraudulent fictitious mailing address with a zip code when he knows zip codes are for the District of Columbia, and the District of Columbia is limited to 10 miles square under Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1342. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker sent mail to a fraudulent fictitious name, Glenn Winningham Fern, 18 U.S.C. 1342. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker violated my rights under color of law, including my right to be left alone in violation of 18 U.S.C. 242. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker conspired with grapevine thieves and military police to threaten, coerce, intimidate, and injure me in the free exercise of my right to ignore their color of law codes and my color of law right to travel. Common law right to travel, not color law. My common law right to travel, 18 U.S.C. 241. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker engaged in a seditious conspiracy with the grapevine military police to overthrow Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 with their military dictatorship, 18 U.S.C. 2384. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker failed to notify authorities of the grapevine felonies described herein, that's 18 U.S.C. Section 4. And in hindsight, I would also put in, there's a couple things. I'd put in that they have failed to register themselves as a foreign agent, and I'd also say they're representing me without authority. And also, I would say that they're an accomplice after the fact under 18 U.S.C. Section 3. And so those are three things that I would add in right now if I was doing this again. I have reason to believe and do believe that Donald Strecker engaged in official oppression, Texas Penal Code 39.03, all of which is evidence in the website page and the letter sent by Linebarger, Gogan, Boyer, and Sampson, LLP, true copies of which are attached here too, and all of each of which is incorporated herein by reference in their entirety. And so, and then this is made under penalty of perjury too. There's the letter. See the all block capital letters, the fictitious name, the fictitious address. The they talk about an arrest warrant. You may be arrested any time. That's a threat. So the sending threatening mail, and matter of fact, Randy Kelton says, if you feel threatened, then it's threatened. So threatening mail could be anything. I feel threatened. You know what I mean? Anyways, so there was 1, 2, these are all the partners for this Linebarger Gogan law firm in San Antonio. They have offices all over the place, so I'm curious to see if they, well, let's see. Line. See, they're in Chicago.
So when did you start this third-party debt collection action?
Well, I haven't had a chance to hear back from them.
I mean, was it a month ago, a year ago?
16th of April,
Pretty recent.
2021. That's what, 2 weeks ago?
Wow.
A month ago.
Nice. So this was your BAR, this was a BAR complaint.
Mm-hmm. I attached their letter they sent
Which was how,
and their website.
which is how to fill it. Oh, the letter that they sent trying to collect the debt.
Right.
And that was because of, the original debt was because of what they're claiming?
Right there.
Okay, so it was a court failure.
Failure to maintain maintain financial responsibility, operate vehicle without registration and no driver's license.
And this wasn't Colleyville.
No, this was Grapevine,
And how recent was this? The original charge?
19th of November 21st. It started on the 28th of August in 2019.
Okay, thank you. So it's been ongoing.
Yeah.
Now, did they put out a capias on you for this?
Probably.
But they haven't threatened to come get you?
I had the cop stop me in that other ticket I showed you,
Yes.
and he said he pulled up the capias, and I said, that's color of law. He said, don't worry, I'm not going to take you into custody over it.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, that really helped me with what happened to me when they showed me a copy of the warrant, which was just a typewritten, it came out of a one of those.
Right, it
public-
has to be signed by a judge to be a real warrant.
Right, and question 3, is it a copy of the signature or the actual wet ink?
Well, there you go, it's got to be the wet ink.
That's why on
It's gotta
Law
be
and
the real
Order,
warrant.
that's why in Law and Order they show up at the judge's at midnight.
That's
What are you doing here?
That's right.
Never watched Law
Get
and
him out of bed.
And the DA has to go over.
Better be good.
Right, he's in his
Get his ass out of bed.
So that was really helpful to understand it has to be a wet ink signature, so anybody that shows up for any reason, in my view, here, you better have a signed warrant with the real signature for every judge. An official, sign an original order of whatever. Now, would that be true for a commercial, like our property, which is a rental property, which is basically property of the United States?
What do you mean?
Would any order still have to be,
It's got to be signed by a judge. Any court order.
right, and not a copy?
No. And in Arizona, I've seen judges where they would put a stamp on there. Right? It's a stamp, and the stamp is their name. But that's not an order.
It's just a quick way to take money from everybody.
Yep.
Stamp.
So this is the one, and I sent it to how many bar members?
You said 7 or 9.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 bar members got this.
Because they all represent the city.
They're all, well, they're partners in this. Linebarger, Gogan, Sampson, Blair, and Sampson, right? And this Linebarger is in Chicago. They're all over the place. So I'm wondering, let's see what it says. Attorneys.
That's a big decal. Okay.
They took the attorneys off of here.
No, no.
Oh, select an attorney. Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. Oh, yeah. Look at them all. Okay, select the location. Okay, so there's San Antonio, Texas. So then what about Dallas, Texas? Fort Worth, Texas. Oh, look at that. Look at that. So the partners is who you can really go after. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 partners in Fort Worth. And they're different partners.
And that other guy was out of Dallas, the original.
Those ones that I filed the bar agreements against were in San Antonio.
Oh, right. Oh, so they were working for Grapevine, but from San Antonio.
Yeah, I think that in Texas, each county is sovereign, the way the Texas Constitution is. And So then the counties join together to make the state government. See what I'm saying? Just like in America, the states are sovereign and they delegate certain power to the, and I think in Texas it's the same way. So they want to basically assault you from a different county.
Right, it keeps it arm's length.
Right.
So Fort Worth is probably doing stuff down in San Antonio.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. And I can tell you that I've gotten debt collectors letters for property taxes. Matter of fact, I'll show you. This is one of my next bar grievances that I'm going to do, is Henderson County. Although I've been doing the Form 1020 on there, and it's actually been working pretty good. Maybe I haven't been scanning those things up. Well, here's the Form 1020. It'll be there. See, McCrory, Veselka, Bragg, and Allen is another law firm that does this. And so I sent it the final notice of default. Peggy Goodall, the Henderson County Tax Office, and McCrory. There's that's the original Form 1020 that I sent them. And here's the third-party debt collector. Unpaid property taxes. This is 2020. And 2009 to 2018. And that's the account number that they've assigned it. But so, that's another one that this is a Form 1020. And I haven't heard anything back from those ones, actually. And so, I'm waiting to hear something back, so I'll have evidence to use against them by filing a bar grievance. See what I'm saying? I got the name of the law firm, they have a website. So, that's one I'm lying in wait for, you know what I mean? This property here, I bought on eBay. I never have paid property taxes. And after 2 years, they're supposed to start foreclosing on you. And it's been 10 years.
So have they filed a lien, and B, if you were to go transfer that, sell it to somebody, and they wanted to transfer it?
I don't know what would happen, and I'm not interested in selling it. I bought that on eBay, and I paid $250. And it turned out the guy that sold it to me was a Texas I went to look at the property. He advertised that it was a quarter acre. I went to look at the property, and it was a lot less than a quarter acre. It was one of these little mobile home lots in this gated community. The gated community was nice, except that all the lots next to the lake is a lake. It's a lake, and so it was this gated community on this lake, on a man-made lake at that. But it was, and so the lots next to the lake were gorgeous. But this was back, you know, over here somewhere, and it was all, it was basically and it was forested. So there was just a forest, and you couldn't tell unless you really looked for the rebar, you know, where the lot started and ended, and it's just bush. And so anyways, it was a lot less than a quarter acre. It was, and matter of fact, I got the plat, and I sent it to the judge, and I said, this lot is a lot less than a quarter acre. And the judge refunded me the money, the $250, gave it back to me. So I got it for nothing. And so, so it's just an opportunity to be a pain in their ass, you know what I mean? So, anyways, that is, it's Athens, Texas is the county seat, which is south of Dallas, about 50 miles, on the way to Houston. Anyways, and I've been fighting with them. You know, I went and here's the I sold it. Remember I told you, when I buy land, I'll have them deed it to a trust. Okay, this guy's a judge. He's not going to do any fancy wording or anything like that, right? And so I said, just make it out to Texas American Holdings. That's fine. And so he made it out. This is the one when I granted it from Texas American Holdings to me. And it says here, the grantor upon 21 each, United States of America, Silver Eagle, 1 Troy pure ounce silver coins, each with a face value of $1 for a total value of $21 in lawful money as payment in full, does hereby grant, convey, and exchange to Glenn Winningham, House of Fern, the grantee all right, title, interest of the following described real property situated on the land of Henderson County on the land of Texas. And then this Beechwood property estates, together with all the rights and privileges associated with the original land patent, the Sharp-Whitley survey, number 285, granted to Sharp-Whitley on the 10th day of March in the year 1845, a true copy of which is attached here to all of which is incorporated herein by reference in its entirety. And so the only thing I would do different now is I would have an acceptance where I accept it. So then it's a real contract. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, here's the land patent right here. It's in cursive, 1845. They didn't have print and stuff back then, but that's the land patent right there. That's the original land patent. And in the name of the Republic of Texas. So that was before, it was 1845. That's the year the Republic joined the Union. Anyways. So I sent that to them. And I didn't send them the filing fee. And so they sent it back with a letter saying I had to pay the filing fee, unsigned of course. And so, so I just been fighting with them back and forth, and you know, I'm not owed anything at this point. Just be a pain in their ass. But that's how you do it right there. You saw how it's done. Some depends on the corruption. I've got land in West Texas. What happened is I did the same thing, and I got a 10-acre parcel on a 20-acre parcel, and they started sending me bills for, see what I do is I know I'm going to do this, and so what I'll do is I'll send the county clerk and the county recorder one of my notice and demands. And this was 2012. I sent the county clerk a notice and demand, and here it is. And it's 41 pages. And it's registered mail. There's the proof of service. It has my statement of original status. See what I'm saying? So I sent that, and then this Mary Wright Henderson, this is one that I served on him in 2017. I sent it to the Henderson County Clerk, the Henderson County Tax Assessor Collector, and the Henderson County Treasurer, and should have sent it to the Henderson County Attorney. Because next time the attorney's going to be involved, and then I'll file a bar grievance against the attorney. See what I'm saying?
Next year when they do it again?
Well, I might. I don't know. Actually, well, I'm going to just, in that case, I'll file a bar grievance against the lawyers in the third-party debt collectors. But next time I do anything, I've got to invite the lawyers. You know, the county attorney. Should have invited the county attorney. That's what I should have done, right from the beginning. See what I'm saying?
Or you might have gone away.
Because it might have gone away, that's right.
And then no one has the power, hardly, that you're dealing with.
See, I did send the Henderson County Attorney one of my notice and demands right here back in 2012. But I should have sent him one of these things where there's a bunch of them invited and he's listed on there. See what I'm saying? That's what I should have done. Got to make sure he's involved and bar grieve the bastard. Anyways, so I sent the Henderson County Sheriff, but he doesn't have anything to do with it unless they're trying to steal it from me. And here's a reminder of unpaid property taxes, but that was attached to the this is sent to the county judge. Oh, look at that, it needs to be OCR. So anyways, always send it to the private man, not to the judge. The private man acting as Henderson County judge. So you get him in his private capacity. You let him know that's where you're going. Anyways, you know, it evolves over time. So, these are what the dismissals in Texas look like. I filed a grievance against Kim Paxton. Hey, you know who he is, right?
The state attorney general?
That's right, he is.
I heard you.
Yeah. And the more the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And so, you know, I don't think twice about Attorney General, Governor, whatever, I don't care. I sent Abbott one of my nasty grams. And I have right now, with the Republic of Texas, a bunch of stuff over there. I'd like to bring an indictment against this Texas State Bar. Eh? Wouldn't that send shudders through the whole bureaucracy? Being a accomplices, because I filed all these bar grievances and they didn't do a damn thing about it, and these guys are all engaged in felonies, and so then obviously the Texas State Bar doesn't have a problem. At a minimum, 18 U.S.C. Section 4, misprision of felony, not reporting felonies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's where, we've all heard that saying, do not make a federal case out of it, right? But you're about to make a federal case out of it.
Well,
But they deserve it.
it's like throwing mud against a wall. You never know what's going to stick, you know?
I like it. I sent that misprision of felony to the city council as what the prosecutor is guilty of. Federal misprision of felony.
Mm-hmm.
Misprision of, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That was fun. But now you have to write it up. It takes a lot of work.
I've got the Word files if you need them.
Yeah, I'll get them from you when I'm giving them a chance over the next few weeks and months to do the right thing, and I'm going to be calling you on Thursday evening and asking you if you want to log on and call in and give them 5 more minutes of your piece of your mind.
I doubt it. There's my ancestors, James J. Winningham, 1756, William Winningham, 1732. Livingston's, there was a Livingston that was a governor of one of the states. 1714, William Todd Livingston. William Aycock, 1739. All over, I got ancestors all over the south and the north. And I'll bet you, if I went on to Ancestry.com now, I'd find there'd be a lot of stuff added into it. You know what I mean? Just this one line right here that I took, that kept going back, and I got all sorts, and that's why I put them in here. If you don't like one line, I got a whole bunch more to pick from. That's my grandmother right there, Ruby Mae Atkins, and her ancestry. And there was a governor that was a Livingston. I think it was like Virginia or, you know, I don't know. One of the northern states, I think. I'm not sure.
New Jersey?
Maybe it was New Jersey. And that was the colonial governor.
William Livingston,
Here's,
1723 to 1790.
oh really? Well, that sounds like this one right here.
What does it say?
William Livingston, born 1714, died 1778. It was 17 when?
1723 to 1790.
Well, yeah, but he couldn't have been governor for that long. That's like,
When was he governor?
yeah.
From 1776 to 1790.
Oh, he died while he's in office.
And he was preceded by a Robert Livingston.
Well, this is William Todd Livingston, so maybe it wasn't the same guy. It's hard to say. Huh, that's interesting. But I got an ancestor, William Todd Livingston, born 1714, died 1778. Now, you never know. it could be that, I mean, it's just a year. So there could be some new information. It could be the same guy still, we just didn't have accurate information, you know what I mean?
Seventeen fourteen to 1778.
Yeah.
It says Virginia.
So anyways, who knows? Those are the ones that my mother had. So another one, let's go and find another one. This is the one for Colleyville.
I'm thinking of it. That's our dog.
No, she doesn't.
No, I'm kind of like, oh, there's another.
You're still listening now?
Yeah.
Okay. The, ahead of time, it pays, in my mind, to get the oaths, whatever the oath is for the state that they have to have as a public servant, especially militia or prosecutor, you know, get them ahead of time so you know in the area where you live, you know, that everything's kosher or not, because then if they act without it, it makes it worse for them. And if they do have one, then you hold them to it. In New Jersey, it's called an oath of allegiance. And then they have an oath of office on top of that. So there's two oaths. And they will combine the wording into one
Allegiance of.
oath of allegiance and oath of office. Is what it, and it's Title 41, 1-1, 1-2, and 1-3, excuse me.
Say that one.
So this is another Texas one, and I was doing the same thing, zip code exempt. I put down general post office zip code exempt. Do not work for the government. This is Colleyville bar member scum, and that's probably why, if they dismiss that case, that's the one that I wrote across I attached a piece of paper using Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Well, this was done last year, and this ticket I got was like about a month ago. See what I'm saying? And so this is Colleyville, and this ticket was Colleyville. So that'll give them some special motivation and might want to make it go away. You know what I mean? Because they know I ain't paying them anything. and I filed judicial complaints against the judge. So you know, we'll see when I get back if anything comes out of it. But I put down the case cover, the AKA State of Texas, AKA Deer Park Cash Cow versus you know, Glenn Winningham Fern, and actually perjury of oath, representing me without authority, subjecting me to deprivation of my common law right to travel. This is one of my older ones. So the newer ones, you know, are that one with the bar number on the third party debt collectors, that's like really fresh. The only ones that are fresher are the ones that you got sitting on the table that I haven't mailed yet. And those ones are fresher.
Are those
And
copies, or you need them?
those are originals. I still have to mail them.
Oh, okay, so they're not.
You can have these if you want.
This one?
Yeah, and that one. You
These
want
are-
those?
These are different, right?
Yeah, those are the third party debt collectors. You're welcome to have those. The other ones are, I need to mail them.
Which one's the other one? Here, right.
Those are all need to be mailed.
Oh.
So
You have more
there's-
copies of that one?
Sorry?
Do you have another copy of that one?
Sure, I can print it. I can print it. How many you want? You want one of those?
Yes, please.
These the same?
I don't know. Oh, it's the
Those
same.
are both the same.
Those, oh, alright, so then, I got one.
Each pile was just the same one, I think.
It's the same thing. Remember,
Oh, okay.
what I did is I made them up and I left the names out and then I went through and inserted the names, right?
Perfect.
Now I can print off one of the bigger ones if you want, but it'll take a while to print. If you want one of the bigger ones. I mean, I can, like these are, I've got these scanned up. If you want one of those, I'll print it off.
You can email.
You want one?
You can email me mine, because then I'll just print it.
Yeah, if you want, if it's easier to email, I could always print it on my end.
Those are actually on my, if you go to my YouTube channel,
Uh-huh.
here I'll show you.
It's on the,
Here's my YouTube channel. There's my videos. If you go to, you can't go to these two because these are the two that are brand new and I can't get in there to modify them. But if you go to this one, okay, which is just the second row is all you need to do.
okay.
And if you go to, you see where it says show more, you just click on that and you just go down to the bottom. There's BAR Grievances right there.
Gotcha.
So then all you do is you go to that, you click on it, it takes you to Google Docs. This is Amar Thakrar, okay, that's the one that I was just, that's this one right here, okay?
Are those the latest BAR grievances?
No, those are older ones, but let's see what else is there.
Yeah, I'm kind of wanting the latest edition.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm learning.
This is Tomaselli, this isn't actually one, this is an older one too, 178 pages too. Okay, let's see what else there is. This is the small one. That little one you have, the 5-pager, that's this one right here. So what I'll do is I'll print you off.
Well, we have it, right?
I have those, and this is one thing that with Google, okay? You just go to this here, Nelson, see where these 9 dots are?
Yeah.
That's all your Google apps that come with your Gmail profile, with your Gmail email, right? So there they are. So you get a drive, and that's where I keep all that stuff. I upload it to Google Drive, and BAR Grievances are right there. And you want Robert Ross and Mark Allen. This is, so what I'll do, that's those ones from Tennessee, right? Tennessee Supreme Court. So I'll copy see what happens is when you share it, okay, it comes up with this. And if you click on here, it'll have this box right here checked, which means the editors, as in Google, can change permissions. And I don't want them, so I uncheck that box. And then what I do is I set this to anyone with a link can view. It starts off as restricted, okay? I change it to anyone with a link can view, and then I copy the link.
Right.
And so then, what I'll do,
Yeah, I started learning that with the OneDrive. It makes it simple.
It's-
Once you find the copy link, you're golden.
yeah, right. Here's the email that Google sent to Gmail, sent to Yahoo. And yet, remember I showed you that they're saying that, but they won't give me the email address. And so they're basically blocking me. Anyways. So here's Maria. There you go, there's the link, okay? And I'm sending it to you right now, so you just download it. And you can have it on your computer, and then you don't have all this paper sitting around. And Nelson,
This is your latest edition?
well, that's the ones for FedEx. That's certainly,
Yeah, that's the latest edition.
that's one of the latest.
Well, that's good. Cool. Yeah, that'd be great. I wanted to have that in.
There you go, okay? And it's coming your way. And you can have the hard copies. And if you want one of those other ones, I can send you one of those. That's Aaron Neely Cox. You know, it's again comes down to stuff I filed into their court, and I attach stuff that I filed into their court, and stuff that I served on them. Stuff you got to build a case. So I filed a criminal complaint against Aaron Neely Cox, and I sent it to Trump and to BAR, you know, and so I attached the letter that I sent to Trump, and saying that I was sending him that document. You see what I'm saying? And then I attached the document to the criminal complaint. So that's like, you know, bringing it into the public sort of thing. It's not as good as a counter recorder, but it's almost as good, you know. And so I sent all that to the that's going against Aaron Neely Cox to the state bar. And then similar with FedEx, right? I filed some documents into court, and some of the stuff, there's just an affidavit, a criminal complaint, I just hadn't filed anywhere really. And but I had made it back, you know, like 5-6 years ago. It was just sitting there on my hard drive, and I was looking through all the stuff that I had, looking for evidence that I could use against them.
Right.
And I thought, oh, I got this affidavit, a criminal complaint. Perfect. So, and it was notarized back then, and that's actually important too, because then if it's notarized at the time, it's fresh in your mind, and you can tell it was notarized then because the notary statement says it was notarized then. See what I'm saying? So notaries don't lie. And so that makes it more powerful, I think, because it was notarized back then. Now, I might not have brought up a lot of the issues I would bring now, but that's okay. I'm still complaining, you know.
All right.
So, yeah, see, this is those. This is the Google, okay? This is when I go on my engineerwin@gmail.com, this is what comes up. Someone might have accessed your account. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, they're just trying to block me from it, is what they're doing. But anyways, so I click on next. So they say I have to get a verification code to recover it. But they're not telling me what email address, okay? In the past, they wouldn't tell you the whole email address. They tell you part of it, so at least you know which one to go to. You know what I mean?
You have no idea.
So I have no idea what email address they're talking about. So then I click on try another way, and this is what comes up. Whoops, right here. That's what comes up. It says, go to your Samsung Galaxy Note 9. Well, I don't have a Samsung Galaxy Note 9 anymore. I went and quit using that. Matter of fact, I think I'm going to sell that phone because it's it does these mandatory updates, and it absolutely refuses to not do them. You know, and that frustrates me. My Note 8 doesn't do that, and so I'll just keep the Note 8.
Right, basically the CIA.
Yeah, no
Getting
doubt.
all the information.
Forcing changes onto my phone.
Brutal.
So anyways, so they want me to log into that phone because they want to collect information on me, because remember that video yesterday was on de-Googling your phone.
I think that's what did it.
I think it was too. But I gotta do some research. I wanna watch that video and see if there's anything else. And then also what I'm gonna do is, I'm going to, prepare a war crimes complaint,
I love it.
send it to the Pentagon.
Right,
You
I
know?
mean, who's, now, the question is, when I asked the colonel, I sent something regarding what they were doing to me at the church to colonel, who were possibly the National Guard, something that was related to, the military. Because I wasn't getting any action from the state troopers or, the executive branch. So I'm like, all right, it's a constitutional issue, the sheriff won't act,
Provost Marshal?
maybe, but anyway, I said, he emailed me back and said, we don't handle this, it's not a military matter. When the militia, who have guns, but I guess it's because it's private, I said, well, who should I refer this to? He said, the congressman
Congressman, really?
for your district, and he sent me the link to get to him, which I already knew, but it was, which I don't think I actually did, because I think that, I'll look for it and try to locate it, because I was surprised that the guy, he was a high-ranking military guy on New Jersey dealing with military matters, like a JAG type.
Right.
But I think I was getting close, like there's somewhere, since we're under martial law rule,
Mm-hmm.
there's military tribunals, and if the civil people with authority are acting in a criminal way and there's nobody willing to
The
act.
military's supposed to take care of it.
Exactly, so I don't know if I hit the right, but he claims the congressman.
Right. So,
that's
anyways.
That's a DC congressman,
Right.
so maybe he
Who
does.
knows? Who knows? Anyways, so then I click try another way again, and it takes me, it says I gotta try and log in again. And then I go there, and so it's going on the round road.
What's your answer, other than
Well, I've tried to enter the email address. Well, see, they're not giving me the email address. See, confirm the recovery email address you added to your account. Well, they're not telling me even a hint as to what it is, because I can tell you that's probably because the recovery email address isn't added. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't add a lot of stuff to the account. It's none of their damn business.
So they're asking you to give them more information.
Yeah, that's right.
What would happen if you put something in that box?
I don't know. I actually tried to do that when I had problems with Brave with the same email. It was the same email, and I was having problems with Brave, and it still went on a round robin.
So it's a different email than the engineer win.
Well, it should be theoretically.
Maybe you should just have them send it to engineer win.
Well, I can't log into there. I can't get into it to see, because they're going to send a code to verify it's me, and I can't get into that one to get the code.
You can't log in at all to engineer win and
No.
email.
No,
Wow.
they won't let me.
Wow. So they want you to give them more information
Yeah.
than some other, and preferably to your phone.
Well, exactly, and I can't get access to my Google group, and I can't get access to my YouTube, because it's all tied to that email.
So if you were to contact customer service at Google and tell them what you're looking at, maybe somebody can unblock it just by.
I don't know, I'd rather just file a bar grievance against the chief counsel and
See what
send the military down to talk to them.
Fair enough. I mean, they are CIA, a private.
Right. And they don't give you a phone number to call. So I don't think there is a number to call.
Right. Yeah.
did send this critical alert to my ferng@yahoo.com, so I could probably put that email address in there and see if, oh, it says Fern is the recovery email for this account. Right, so I have to send it to Yahoo. Well, let's try it and see what happens.
We tend to see criminals behind every bush these days.
Well, there is. See, watch. See? Come on. There we go. 104421. See, there's my YouTube channel right there.
Do you use the word native at all in your original status document?
No.
Bouvier says, jurisdiction of the United States in 1856 a negative? I guess it was territorial even then.
1856, that's before the Civil War.
Natives, all persons born within the jurisdiction of the United States are considered as natives. They will be classified into those born before the Declaration of our Independence and those born since.
Hey, man. What's going on? I can pick them up by you if you want. Yeah, I know. That's fine. Yeah, sure. Take it away. How's Jack's feeling? How's Jack's feeling? Why? Why? Mhm. 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 Mhm.
Okay, well, let's try it now. There we go.
That saved you a lot of work.
Well, now I don't have as good excuse to file bar grievances against that scumbag bar member.
They'll give you another opportunity.
I'm sure they will.
Don't worry.
Yeah. Instead I needed to do something. That's fine. I'm not scared. I have one paperwork in my bag. She's doing that.
Okay, so anyways, do we want to go through some more bar grievances? It's 4:30.
I would, if anybody's into it.
I'm fine with that.
It looks like I'm gonna have to get well acquainted with them.
Here's, this is a prosecutor. Lisa Tomaselli, and what I did is I filed a bar grievance against, she's in a law firm. So that same law firm has a city attorney, his name is Matthew Boyle, that's this guy right here. Filed a bar grievance against him. And what I did was I attached the same stuff that I used against Lisa Tomaselli. So that's 176 pages. Lisa's was 2 pages more. I guess there was a couple pages that I didn't. I get his bar number. You saw how I do that. And then I also filed a bar grievance against another one.
If you would kind of make it plain what type of action they took against you, if it's not, like whether it was a ticket.
It was a ticket. It was actually the same stuff that the third-party debt collectors. It's grapevine again. So it's third-party debt collectors. There was no driver's license, no registration, and no insurance, and then there was a failure to appear for each one, right?
So aren't they eating up your time and you're not getting paid at all?
Sorry?
Like, what the remedy? I mean, so you're not paying it, but they pull you over. They cost you lots of time.
Yeah, they do. That's for sure.
So how are we gonna make them pay?
Well, that's a good question. When you get paid, let me know how it goes.
There has to be a way.
Well, I filed a lawsuit against Euless, and they went and got me named a vexatious litigant. That lawsuit right now is with Tom Lowe, and I'm getting ready to, I did the Form 1020. They want me to pay another $1,000 before the case can proceed, and so I'm not paying it. And so I sent the Form 1020 to Tom Lowe and saying, how do you want me to pay this? And so far they haven't answered. So then I'm going to send Tom Lowe a nastygram. And then I'm going to send, because I'm now a vexatious litigant, all of any cases that I file are going to go to David Evans, who is the chief administrative judge. So I'm going to send him one of my nastygrams, because I've already sent him one of my notice and demands, and he's already demonstrated that he intends to perjure his oath. And I know people that have dealt with him, and he perjures his oath. So I'm going to send him a nastygram.
Alright, so then the next step would be, besides...
If I can get some people to convene a grand jury, I'll bring an indictment against his ass, or try to.
Okay.
When you send the 1020 form out, they have to respond, and then that's when you do the notice of default. And then do they have to respond again, and that's when you do the final notice of default?
Sorry?
When you send the 1020 out to a ticket or a bill or whatever, they respond back, that is when you send the notice of default?
No, they don't ever respond back. I've never seen them respond back yet.
You just continue to just send 1, 2, and 3 right
That's
after
right.
each other?
That's right.
Is it like a week apart, or a month apart, or just all together? at
It
the
says
same
right
time?
on it the days. It's like 15 days, I think, or 10 days. Here we go.
One approach for me I'm considering is just, going federal.
Yeah.
Get it out of the state system, because when I learned that the state attorney general still has his bar license,
Well, let's file bar grievances against them.
chance to act, maybe he can, so I'll give him a chance.
And it's good that you have such faith in all of these criminals, but I think it's misplaced, quite frankly. I think that they're criminals, they're thieves, they ought to get their necks stretched, and, that's it.
Right, well.
And so I just build a case against them.
Well, that's what I'm doing by giving him an opportunity, because I have to give him a shot before I go federal.
See, I filed a bar grievance against Tom Wolf, right here. That's this one. And he's the judge in that case.
Right.
And so he's got a bar grievance already.
Right.
And then I'm going to 289 pages. Then I'm going to, the heck happened to that other one? See, I get the oaths of office. See, here's all these oaths. I got them.
You open one up so they can see.
This is one of the pig's oaths. Right there.
Now, is there something besides the oath of office necessary in Texas?
As far as I know, no.
Because that's where I got them, because there's a thing called the oath of allegiance.
Right.
And all the cops had an oath of office, but they didn't have the oath of allegiance under the authority of the people. And the city of Ocean City actually took the words under the authority of the people out of.
It says that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of police officer of the state of Texas, and I will do my best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state, so help me God.
Yeah, the one that we had here didn't have that. It included the two constitutions.
That's right.
That's the critical. And I love the fact that New Jersey said under the authority of the people, which goes back to 1776 in the state constitution. They wanted government public servants to be bound to do the right thing.
And here's the John Boyle, he's the attorney for the city of Grapevine. I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of city attorney of Grapevine of the state of Texas and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
So that's where the perjury of oath comes in.
And then they also have they do have two things. There's an anti-bribery statement. And I think that's pretty well every state. Make sure yours has their anti-bribery statement. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, promised to pay, contributed, promised to contribute any money or thing of value, or promised any public office or employment as a reward to secure my appointment or confirmation thereof. So help me God.
No, I don't think so. Elected officials have to sign it.
He's not elected, he's
Yeah, I
appointed.
know, we don't have that.
Statement of appointed officer. That's an anti-bribery statement. Anyways, this is all the stuff I have on Grapevine.
Check this out, Glenn, the word grievance,
Yeah.
no such word in Bouvier's.
rendition of taxable property. You're supposed to render it for taxation. And so what happened is, there's a lady I know in Texas that she had been foreclosed on 10 years ago and was still living in the house. It was in a nice area. Like in Texas, you know, you can buy a brand new house in Texas for under $100,000. And this house was in an area where they're like $300,000-400,000. It was a nice area. And she had been out of work. And the property taxes on a $300,000-400,000 houses are probably about $10,000 a year. And so it was at the point that she couldn't afford to pay the property taxes. So she went down to the county tax assessor collector and started reading in the Riot Act. She was telling me about it. She says, "Who rendered this property for taxation? I'm gonna sue their butt off." And the tax assessor collector says, "Don't worry, we'll take it off the tax rolls."
No one gave them the authority to render it.
That's right. What happens is they just go ahead and render it themselves unless you object. And number one and number two is it used to be like I bought property in Utah, and part of the closing documents was I agreed to pay the property taxes. And the reason is that if the mortgage, you don't own it. The bank owns it. You're paying it off. Once it's paid off, then you'll own it. And so the bank has to pay property taxes. When you sign that piece of paper, you take that responsibility from the bank. So that's what happens. That's right. So that's why I just pay cash. So then the bank doesn't own it. You pay gold or silver coin, that creates a problem for them. You know what I mean?
You think that the rendition of property taxes for New Jersey, so maybe they keep it under their hat, but,
Is there anything in the New Jersey statute about rendition? Well, maybe do a keyword search and see if anything comes up. Or render. You know what I mean? Every state's going to be different. In Texas, that's how they handle it. In Arizona, the way they handle it, is there a land transfer tax in New Jersey? Yeah, see, that might be how they handle it. You have to give them an affidavit, or when you transfer the land, you know. But so then, you got to read that statute and what it talks about as far as who is required to pay that land transfer tax. See what I'm saying? And I know in Arizona what they do is they have an affidavit of property value. I was telling you about that earlier. And so, like I bought land in Arizona and didn't pay the affidavit of property value, sent them the deed showing it paid gold or silver coin. See what I'm saying? And then sent it to them without the affidavit, right? And then they sent it back. Matter of fact, it's in my briefcase. I'll show it to you. This is how it comes back. Right here. They even wrote it in red ink. It says, "Not recorded. Please respond."
you can show it to them first.
Huh?
Show it to them first and then I'll look at it.
Okay. It says, it's got this, right? There's nothing signed. And if you read it, it says we put it in a special file. Well, that's perfect. That's the non-taxpaying file.
It's still in there?
Of course, I haven't responded.
Now, is that the deed, or is,
That's the deed I sent them to record it.
and they said, so,
They sent it back with the check that I'd submitted for the payment for the filing fee, with all of that saying, please respond.
so if there's no deed on file, what is protecting someone
It's-
from?
They put it in a special file, so they have it, they know about it.
I'm concerned that they're nefarious. They would do something criminal.
Well, they'd be opening themselves up to major problems if they do, because I
You
got
have
proof.
proof.
I got proof, that's
You have
right,
proof. Gotcha.
that's right.
So, interesting.
And I can tell you also that with another county, I sent one to Apache, no, it was not Apache County, it was Navajo County.
Need any more light? Need more light?
Navajo County. And what they did is they just went ahead and recorded it and started sending me bills for property taxes. And I sued them and took them to the Ninth Circuit. And lost my case in the Ninth Circuit. And I didn't appeal it to the Supreme Court, but the interesting thing is I never heard about it again for property taxes.
You lose, and then they don't respond.
That's right.
Okay, so you are getting some victories as far as money wise.
Here's another one that I did with Apache County. This one is one that they were very interested in what I was doing, and so they didn't have any trouble at all using the wording that I wanted. And so they did. And they were some people in Las Vegas, and they actually had, this is for, I think it's 1 acre. They later had one that was, or this could be for 5 acres. They didn't have any trouble notarizing it and everything like that. And it's one of those railroad land patents, you know, where they got 10 miles on either side of the railroad. Heck of a pile of land to pay for the railroad, right? 10 miles. Damn.
So that's, if it's not recorded, it's not taxed, they can't tax it yet. Is that pretty
Well,
much- they don't know the amount.
it's not recorded, so yeah, they gotta have that affidavit of property value. You see, when the affidavit of property value, if you look at it, it's denominated in Federal Reserve notes. See what I'm saying? So you're saying under penalty of perjury I paid Federal Reserve notes. So I didn't pay Federal Reserve notes. I paid lawful money.
Where is that asking about the?
Well, here's the affidavit of
I
property
know
value.
that you say you paid gold and chip, oh, it talks about Federal Reserve on this.
Yeah,
What does it say exactly?
it's a one S with one vertical bar.
Understood. Got it. Lawful money is the 2 bars.
So anyways,
What do you do when you get a bill from the town? Says your house has been, your taxes are being assessed, and this may mean that your property taxes may or may not go up. I just got a letter in the mail saying that my property went up or it's assessed.
yeah,
You can write a letter to us and deny, or I have it in
oh,
the
does
car.
it say that?
It says something like that on it, yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to see it.
You
Okay,
can appeal.
But,
yeah.
You appeal the
I would,
assessment.
I would say something like, where's your evidence that I am, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17? You see what I'm saying? I'm not a U.S. citizen. I am a New York national. You see what I'm saying? And where's your authority to tax me or something like that? See what I have to think about
She
exactly
has
what
her
to say.
mortgage though.
Oh, she does. That's right.
Well,
Yeah.
well, it's not I'm paying my taxes. This is just like a tax
revaluation,
assessment, like a
yes.
revaluation.
You can either do it yourself, or my brother-in-law, he has one of the largest tax appeal firms in New Jersey, and he has an office in New York. He works on, generally speaking, he would basically do that, all that, understanding it, and so. Or you can appeal your taxes. Usually, in New Jersey, you have, every year you can go till April 1st to appeal the assessment.
Right.
So they basically try to get everybody just to not respond. And they usually, people like to think in their minds, oh, good, the assessment's higher, so my property's worth more.
Yeah,
Instead, it's the con to get you to pay more.
exactly.
So we could be assessed at 50%, 60% more than we are. Since we understand what they're doing, we just keep appealing. And then you have to get 3 properties to show the valuation. I don't know what New York law is, but he would know. But since you have the mortgage, you kind of have to play their game. So all they're trying to do, so anybody who objects and keeps their assessment low, people who don't object and their assessments go up, now those people pay a higher portion of the total bill for the municipality. Because they have a, I forget the name they use. It's not par, but it's, so there's a ratio, it's math, basically. And they have this big pie, they have the budget, and then based on the total assessment, everybody has to pay their share, of a certain amount per $100 every year.
But if I write into them and say all that stuff, then they would.
Well, I would send it back and object,
Yeah.
and get it on the record. But I would look at what your law is and find out, actually, it's probably online. The appeal date every year for New York. Here's your thing, Glenn, I don't want you to lose it. That was cool.
So in Arizona, I've got it down.
And it's
But-
generally,
Sorry?
generally land, not land and improvements.
That's true. And this is out in the middle of nowhere. So it's not like it's, in downtown Phoenix or something like
And
that.
it's connected to utilities, and all those things start putting us in the matrix.
Well, they do it to some extent. That's why I want to this is Texas land that I've got. With this one, Hudspeth County, right? This is And in Texas, it's not, they have their own Texas land office. They've always had their own Texas land office. I think this, well, this is, it's either 10 acres or 20 acres. 53 miles north, 20 degrees east. So I would say this is gonna be, it's gonna be 20 acres or 10 acres, is one of the two. And this is one that I went and, they were sending me bills for taxes, and I filed a criminal complaint against them. I don't know if you wanna look at it or not, but it doesn't say anything. Huh?
Is that the same one?
No, this is Texas. That other one was Arizona.
Oh.
But this one,
is a different one, sure. I
yeah.
know.
this one, I filed a criminal complaint against the officials in Hudspeth County, and they basically ignored it. I sent that one to the Texas Attorney General. It all got ignored. Then I sent it to the U.S. Attorney. I made another criminal complaint and named the Texas Attorney General and sent it to the U.S. Attorney, and then everything went silent.
I think that's the key, making a federal case out of it.
Maybe.
That's my middle name right now. Make a federal case out of it. And actually, even in my situation with the court, with the one I'm in with the claim, I have to claim it in the United, there's nothing in New Jersey's not gonna give me what I want. It's gotta be the feds.
Well, it depends on the type of case, but I think generally speaking, that guy's right when he says, if it's the states that are harassing you, then you go to the feds, and if the feds are harassing you, you go to the state.
I haven't heard that, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
So your deeds are in your LLC?
No, well, I start out with the LLC,
And then,
because remember I said how if I don't have the wording that I want, I have them transfer it to the LLC or a trust, and then when I transfer it from them, I transfer it to me, and then I get the wording that I want. So, together, this is the legal description together with all the rights and privileges of the original land patent, because you want that. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Plus, upon receipt of silver eagle coins, 1 troy ounce each, which is $100 in lawful money. You see what I'm saying? So it paid in lawful money. It's really paid for. It's not
yeah.
discharged. You see what I'm saying?
That's powerful.
With Federal Reserve notes.
That's so powerful, that whole concept of lawful money.
Right.
I need to see that.
Oh, sure.
They were nice enough to write your address the way you want.
They sent me two.
Yeah, assessment notification.
What's the date of the letter?
Recently.
It was just, there isn't even a date on it. They sent it to me, I went up last week, there was one in the mail, and then just this last week, there was another one in the mail.
New York has the March 15th and April 1st, same as New Jersey as far as.
Middletown. I've been up to Middletown. I used to go to Middletown all the time.
A lot, right? A lot, right?
Huh?
The increase. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make everything more equal.
That's what they're
It's
claiming.
called you're right.
They're just trying to get more money.
No, not, well, that's, actually, I don't know that that's true. Well, they are trying to get more money out of anyone who's willing to not object, because it raises your percentage of your obligation based on the total budget. So they do it, they divide, after they pass the budget, they say, okay, everybody, based on everyone's assessment, this is what you're gonna owe.
It's funny because I got the school budget 2 weeks prior to getting this in the mail. So they were doing the assessment for the school budget, saying that things are gonna go up. And then they had received $900 and something thousand to the school, but they can't use it on anything other than like special needs for the children. The PPP money, they can't use it on all the extra stuff that they need. That's why they're pushing it on us, that there's a percentage hike. I have that, I don't know are we in now? I gotta do it this week, the 16th.
Right, so basically they're trying to equalize. Has there been a lot of development in your area?
Over the past year, there's been more houses bought.
And when you buy a house in New York, does your assessment, does the assessment change when you purchase a house? Or does the assessment stay the same? For example,
I haven't received an assessment in 4 years at this house.
that's not my question.
Okay, sorry.
If somebody buys a house and the assessment is $300,000 when you buy it, and you pay $400 for it, what is your tax bill assessed at?
The 3 or 4, you're saying?
Right, because, right, that's the question.
Right. Probably what you bought it for.
In New Jersey, it stays at whatever the assessment is. It doesn't
Fine.
change.
Well, this is for the cabin,
What?
this assessment that we just purchased.
No, it's not. It's for 31.
No, it's for the parcel. This is for the smaller one. That's why we thought it was for our home. Because we just purchased this property,
How did that already go up?
and now they assessed it after we purchased it
At a higher number.
at a higher number.
Right, because that's the way, now that may be the law in New Jersey, in New York, I
That's
don't know.
why.
But, is this an
It's the
objection?
same one.
Right, so, okay, what one has to do, usually, what it is you have to file an appeal by April 1st normally. When did you close on the property?
February.
All right. So you're gonna say, well, but see, I don't know what the law is. I would, why, so the question is, did they send out an increase to everybody?
Or just because we purchased.
Right, now what, you did have a second one, right?
No, these are both, they just sent it twice, same.
Oh, it's the same thing.
Yeah. It's the assessment.
But that's the same.
Is
The
it-
purchase of
Because they probably never assessed it, and now that it changed hands, they assessed it, and now we get.
Okay. I would just assumed it was 31.
Because you see, our
I saw
PO
that.
box is the same number as our address, that's why you got.
Glenn, here's your letter, let me
With
lose
the
it.
parcel information.
Let me ask you this, is the assessment more than you, is the assessment same as you paid or less?
A little bit less.
Right. So what they do is, there may be a rule that they play where if you buy it for more, they don't like the low assessment, because if things get out of whack to a certain point, there's an automatic revow for the whole entire county or city. And that takes a lot of time and they hate it. So if there's a way to ding you as you buy and raise it, and you just go, if somebody just goes along. But the problem is that the assessment generally can be challenged by virtue of sale prices the previous 12 months, like in January to December, the previous year.
Right, but that's after they do the assessment, right? I mean, right there, that's just a notice that they're gonna do it.
That is a notice that they are planning on raising the assessment on that property,
Taxes, yeah.
Raising the assessment?
raising the assessment.
Well, I'd say you ought to be able to, because of the fact that, there's all sorts of vacant properties in New York, you know, prices are going down. If you look at so certainly, especially
Well,
given
yeah,
current
that
events.
depends, but the system, from my understanding, is in New Jersey, and it's probably the same in New York, because of the way they work together, you know, kind of tracking.
Mhm.
When I buy a property in Ocean City today, I continue to pay based on the assessment. If I pay 20% more than the assessment, that does not change the assessment. And they won't even send us a, so what they do in Ocean City is, because of the development that's here, if somebody buys a brand new property,
Uh-huh.
that gets assessed for what you paid. And that's, the people who buy a new property end up paying an astronomical higher ratio than they should.
A new development, a
Like
brand
a
new
new construction.
construction.
And so, like, we're assessed at 800,000 on this property, but it's worth quite a bit more. But we're still assessed at 800 roughly. And there's nothing they can do until they do an island-wide reval, which is, when certain things get out of whack, there's a law that it automatically causes the reval where everybody has to then, they'll get we're gonna reassess everybody, and then everyone can fight at that point, but it has to do with they're trying to equalize the fact some people are paying more than their fair share in those people's minds.
Mm.
So in this case, say, out in California, when you trade property, it's now 1% of what you paid. Like, it's what you paid. Whereas that's not the way it is in New Jersey.
Mm.
It's until there's a citywide revaluation, where they try to equalize everybody. Land, improvements, age of the improvements. Because we've been depreciating for 40-some years, so our land is like 80-90% of the total.
That value.
Right. Even though the sticks and bricks are still going up essentially because of the cost of it.
But they theoretically depreciated away to nothing.
Exactly. Theoretically. I think we're down to like 60,000 for the building, by virtue of the years. And so every time there's an island-wide revaluation, that's when everybody gets their takes their gloves off, because now we're talking about 10 more years worth of much higher taxes.
Right.
But this way, they reward people who've been longevity. So when there's a rapid rise in prices, it really doesn't matter if there's not a lot of, if everybody's still the same in your property versus my property, and the assessments stay the same, the ratio of what the total budget is still comes out the same.
Right.
It's when there's some, in our case, new development, new property that's sold, like a new condo that sells for 800,000, when the property that was there before was worth 500. But they tore that down and built two at 800 each. Now the city's looking at a $1.6 million rise in a rateable. So now we have $1.6 million more in rateable. So our 800,000, actually our taxes go down, because relatively speaking, because we're still on the 800,000.
So if there was a bunch of new construction, that would be good for everybody.
Only not for the people who.
Not for the new construction, but for everybody else.
Exactly. That's why we love new construction, because then it mitigates the tax bite.
Right.
Because otherwise, if it was all steady state, and there was no, and that's why my brother-in-law, he's an attorney, and he does tax appeals, that's what he does. And he plays the game. And he'll go and negotiate with the tax collector off the record, and he gets a fee based on the savings.
Right.
And so, but he generally just charges based on the savings. So if he doesn't save you anything, then you don't pay anything. But if he saves you $500 a year, he might get $250 for the first 2 years or 3 years, and then at that point you have the lower assessment. As long as there's no reval, then it was a good deal. That's how it works in New Jersey.
Right.
Whereas in California, whatever you pay, that's why people were so upset with, you remember Proposition 18 maybe, or whatever it was out in California, where they were complaining because they were able to reassess everybody next. If the prices went up, your taxes went sky high. But then they said, well, it's just 1% of whatever if and when you buy. So someone, if they held a property for 30 years,
That property taxes stay the same for 30 years.
took the 1%.
Right. Of
What
what
they
they
paid.
originally paid.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's Proposition 13. I remember I used to live in California.
I knew it was something.
Yeah.
low. Yeah. So that,
And that's still in place up there, right?
it is, but they found a little bit of a way around it. Lawyers find a way to do things.
Right,
But it's still better than it was.
right.
So if you want, I can text you his phone number and you can email him and you can see if he can help you.
So anyways, well, let's see, we can, that's one reason I file all this stuff into these cases, because, I can always use it for something, you know, whether it's a bar grievance, or, matter of fact, I'm just gonna start doing bar grievances as just an automatic course of action.
I love it. I love the plan. Huh? Right, it's not like it's calling a pirate onto the carpet. I do like Anna, I mean, a lot of her stuff, I have to give her a lot of credit. The way she explains stuff helped me understand what was happening. Inland piracy, it's called. It's actually a federal crime. In fact, I'm gonna include that.
Yeah, really.
In the bar. She has a whole list of things. She doesn't give the statutes. You kind of have to look them up yourself.
Uh-huh.
But I was reading wherever it was, I looked at, robbery ashore it's called. And I accused the cops who took me away for the $408. They have a federal, so I called somebody, the U.S. attorney or whatever. They said, you can't do anything until you've exhausted all your state actions. Don't call us till the state has done nothing. But in my original criminal complaint, I listed, based on the evidence, I listed all of the criminal charges, state and federal, on the front page of what they did. And one of them was robbery ashore. Because they're operating in Admiralty. They're like a pirate on the sea. Cruising in their cruiser.
That's right.
They're on a cruise, looking for booty. And then when they turn on the lights and they shake down the people. I used to always think about them, you hear the stories of the Mexican federales and oh, how terrible it is. They're doing the very same thing here.
Right.
The federales, you just pay them, there's no toll takers, you just pay them supposedly. They charge you whatever amount to use the road, and that supports the government. But here, they have a more sophisticated system.
Yeah, but I think Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 causes major problems for them. The international law rule, remember, says that all state statutes are federal. And so...
when did that come into play?
International law rule, that was 1957. It's actually a document that was published by the, I think it's like the Attorney General or Congress or something, and,
Really?
and they submitted it to the Attorney General and transmitted it to the President.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read it in the presentation today.
I always thought that was a document from like the Geneva Convention or something like that.
No.
I'm sure I have it in my files from you. That would be helpful again now that I kind of work with stuff that bubbles to the top, and it's hard for me to go back in time and know what was important.
Oh, I already closed it.
So the international law rule says all state statutes are federal.
Yeah.
Which means we're in international law, not common law. Is that the gist?
doesn't necessarily mean that's the case, right there. Adopted for areas under federal legislative jurisdiction, federalized in state civil law, including common law.
Unbelievable.
The rule serves to federalize not only statutory, but the common law of state. State and federal venue discussed, the civil laws in an area of exclusive federal jurisdiction are federal law, notwithstanding their derivation from state laws. And a cause arising under such laws may be brought or removed to federal district court. And that's jurisdiction or over federal areas within the states. So let's do a Google search for that.
Now, are they talking Fort Dix, or are they talking everywhere in their world? They're saying I'm in a federal area right now. That's what they want to represent.
It's actually 2 books.
Wow.
This is part 1. There's part 1 and a part 2, submitted to the Attorney General. The White House. Report of the Interdepartmental Committee for the Study of the Jurisdiction over federal areas within the states.
And that is.
This is part 1, that's part 2, it has that.
So they're basically codifying how they're going to attack U.S. citizens with this. Is that what you're saying? Making everyone think they're on a federal area, in a federal area.
Here's the first part here is written by Eisenhower. Dear Mr. Attorney General, I'm herewith returning to you so that it may be published and receive the widest possible distribution among those interested in federal real property matters. Part 1 of the report of the Interdepartmental Committee for the Study of Jurisdiction over federal areas within the states. I'm impressed by the well-planned effort which went into the study underlying this report and by the soundness of the recommendations which the report makes. It would seem particularly desirable that the report be brought to the attention of the federal administrators of real properties who should be guided by it in matters related to legislative jurisdiction, and to the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and appropriate state officials for their consideration of necessary legislation. I hope that you will see to this. I hope also that the Federal General Services Administration will establish as soon as possible a central source of information concerning legislative jurisdictional status of federal properties, and that agency with the Bureau of the Budget, Department of Justice, so anyways, that's Eisenhower. So all I did is do a search for jurisdiction over federal areas within the states.
Question once again is this is the report they use to
This is part 2 and it's 212 pages. Anyways, go ahead. Is it what?
those two things right there, because they talked about real property, which I thought it was related also to the whole citizenship aspect.
Well, it can be applied wherever. Think about it. If you're a U.S. citizen.
Right, state and federal venue discussed. So basically the 1817 basically torpedoes their presumptions. Because on New Jersey, there's so little federal property here. There's almost no federal property. In Cape May County, there's a couple pieces of swamp, and that's it. So when any authority regarding me comes, not this property, because we're rental, and therefore we're kind of in commerce and can't really avoid taxation, and aren't trying to. I'm not saying we don't have to pay here, because we're getting money from people. But my own personal body, when they dealt with that, that becomes an issue. And now they're using the municipal jurisdiction, which has been federalized, federal, state, and municipal. We're under that whole entire line of authority that they established after. I mean, it's been building all the time, but they keep tightening the noose. One of the things was the BAR Treaty of 1947, the Pan-American BAR Treaty. Have you heard of that? Pan-American BAR Treaty put all of the countries from Canada down to Argentina under control of attorneys and judges, the bar associations. That's why, like Glenn says, everything ends up at the bar members are behind everything. Because they're controlling the sea. They put everybody in the sea. The law of Admiralty was brought onto shore, and the attorneys are like captains on a ship. They are the boss when you're on the sea. You go on someone's ship, I don't know if you've ever been on a boat, but the captain is the law when you're on his boat. And that's what these people think. And when I'm on their boat, that's why when you go into their court, there is a, you almost are stepping on, from in their mind, you go across the bar onto the ship, basically. Now those people are all judge and jury over whatever the situation is. They have plenary power to do whatever they want. So we agree to it. So if I go onto someone's ship and say, basically he can put me in chains and I'm cooked because I went on his ship. If I'm on land, so you have to stay on the land in my thinking process. Stay on the land. Because the minute you get into Admiralty, then we lose all, I think, there's no real, it becomes a completely arbitrary decision on who's ever the judge. And that's why I think juries today can be overridden because it's in Admiralty. It's not a common law jury, which is Glenn's point. He wants to trying to get the common law juries together. And I see that value of that. But because most people are so tied up in the money system that they've created, it's so difficult to bat away the flies when they keep coming at you. Because they're buzzing all the time. They get paid. They're being paid by the grand pirates, which are the Vatican and the City of London, and then the attorneys are the slave masters who rob us of our lifeblood and suck us dry.
Scumbag bar members. Don't get me going.
So, anyway, that's a short explanation of why. So this, that he just talked about, the federal jurisdiction, basically the international law rule, I've heard it literally 100 times, and I now understand it the best I've ever understood it since. So, you may not, I think that's probably in your case, the more you hear things, the more you get it. The international law rule I've been hearing about for a year or two. But that actually is helping now understand it a lot better.
Yeah. So, anytime you're dealing with anything, even those property taxes, you know, I would, you know, it depends on how belligerent you wanna be. I mean, you could file a sort of notice and demand on the county attorney, and then if they keep coming after you, then, of course, you got a mortgage, so you're pretty well stuck.
That's why you have to kind of play by their rules for now.
Yeah, the house is nearly almost paid off, so I'll just wait and learn more and, you know.
Right.
It's
Matter of
not a big
fact,
mortgage.
you know, I don't know how hard it is, you got a business there, and so, you know, I
Well,
don't know.
these are the two homes in upstate. The one with the business, I'm not messing with that one. That one's got a large mortgage.
So, you know, I don't know, but again, I mean, you gotta decide. Me, I like the country, I get out of the city.
Yeah.
But, I think the cities are gonna turn into like chaos. Upstate New York, there's some gorgeous country upstate New York though,
Beautiful.
gorgeous,
I
for
love
sure.
it. We leave in the morning and we go up until Thursday.
Is that right?
And come back on Friday to work and go back up on Sunday.
So you got a week off?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I only work on the weekends because I homeschool the kids during the week.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice. So the kids, they're not with you though, are they?
They're with my mom this weekend.
Oh, I see.
She took them to Pennsylvania,
Okay.
so I can be here.
Okay, so you dropped them off on the way here, basically.
Well, no, she picked them up from Brooklyn.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Oh, well, they get to go see grandma, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no, it's beautiful. So you going to that meeting again? My mom's like, you going to that meeting again?
Is that right?
I said, yeah, it's that time again, Mom.
Yeah, well, certainly knowledge is useful.
Yes. And hanging out with like-minded people is amazing.
And it's a networking thing, you know,
Mhm.
nobody knows everything, and
Mm.
it's sharing knowledge, you know.
Mhm.
What's the name of the town, or the county?
What did you say, Middleton? Middleton. Town of Middleton. County of Delaware, Town of Middleton.
Yeah, Middleton, I used to go up there all the time. That was one of the, I mean, isn't Middleton on the way to Florida from like White Plains? I think it was. I remember I used to go up to Middleton all the time.
It's about 2.5 hours out of the city.
Oh, that far?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember, it's been so long. I might be thinking of something else.
And then the other properties are in where?
Same.
Oh, they're all in the same place?
Yeah, there's two. They're like half a mile away from each
Oh.
other.
But everything's in the same town?
Mm-hmm.
Everything you have is in the same town?
The two, yeah.
All right. I'd ask him a question if he does work. If he does, he'll let me know, and then otherwise, there's no sense he contacting me.
You have my email, right?
Yeah.
Oh, or on
Yeah, I have.
two. Oh, wait, you have my number.
Yeah, the most recent ones are those, matter of fact, there's one that I had here, BAR grievance that I did, 2 days before those BAR grievances to the attorneys, to the third-party debt collector, and it wasn't near as good as the one to the third-party debt collector. I think that one is like, and the one to FedEx where I list all the indictments and stuff. The only thing is that I'd add in, they haven't registered themselves as a foreign agent.
Right, I looked that up and I'm not sure they're not exempt. I mean, I hear people saying they're supposed to, but I haven't located anything yet
Well,
proving that.
Well, they're foreign agents, they're bar members. They're all bar members are foreign agents. Let them prove otherwise. That's my attitude. Accuse them of it, let them prove otherwise. Comes down to you never know, throwing mud against the wall, you never know what's gonna stick. Where does it say who's exempt?
In that act,
Oh,
I was reading some of the exemptions, and if I was an attorney, I felt I would say, well, I qualify there. I mean, I've heard that, what you're saying, I've heard it said.
yeah.
Glenn,
What's that?
the debt book you recommended, I mean.
Oh, right, let me get that.
Thank you. What were we talking about yesterday that we said that you were gonna send and then we,
I don't know, well, what are we talking about?
uh,
Okay, so I need to send you the dissolve your debt manual.
yes. How many pages is it?
Huh?
How many pages?
It's about 50 pages, it's not too bad.
Okay.
Let's see, where is that? Oh, that's gonna be on my external drive. See, this is my Note 9. It's a nice phone, but it automatically updates on me, and it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
It's a little bit bigger than my Note 8. I like it on that, except the automatic updates. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about buying maybe a Note 10 or one of the newer ones even. And when that happened, I said, no, I guess I'm about done buying newer ones, because they're all gonna be just the same, you know? So, Samsung can keep them. Matter of fact, I'm thinking that maybe a de-Googled phone might be a good one to get from that guy. You know what I mean?
Try one. I'd be concerned, they hit one wrong button and that gives them access again.
Well, no, the software is just simply not there. I mean, you can't log into you can log into your Gmail account. I don't know, I imagine he'll probably give you some tips on things to avoid. Let's see here, oh, I know what I want. 247? It's not a form, but it is a statute.
Say that again, Clay? 18.
18 USC 247, I'll get it out here in a second. The Dissolve Your Debt Manual. 6.2 megabytes. Yeah, here's the, that 31 USC, section 3124. Stocks and obligations of the United States government are exempt from taxation by a state or political subdivision of a state. This exemption ties each form of taxation that would require the obligation, the interest on the obligation, or both to be considered in computing the tax. Well, if you're charging 6% tax, it's based on how much you're paying. You see what I'm saying? So, now there's a couple exemptions or exceptions. The non-discriminatory franchise tax imposed on a corporation while you're not a corporation. See what I'm saying? So that's 18 USC 3124, and then under 18 USC 8 defines what an obligation or security of the United States, which is Federal Reserve notes, right? Anyways, okay, so 18 USC 247.
That was a good one. That's the one I sent to city council about what they're doing to me. The public servants.
I'll just send all that now.
18 USC 247, whoever in the circumstances in section B of this section intentionally obstructs by force or threat of force, including by threat of force against religious real property, any person in the enjoyment of that person's free exercise of religious beliefs,
Or attempts.
or attempts to do so.
Right. And that's, I have them on camera, as recently as 3 weeks ago. But apparently the judge, I have to do the BAR and judicial complaint because the judge here is stopping it by virtue of the county prosecutor. So we just have to get the U.S. attorney involved.
Did you want to dissolve your debt manual too, Nelson?
No, good. Actually, send it to me, I'll download it since,
Okay, well, it's on its way to you, Maria.
Thank you.
thanks.
I'll send it to you, Nelson, right now.
And what was the name of that, the Eisenhower thing, the jurisdiction of federal,
Over federal areas within the states.
that's what I mean, jurisdiction over federal areas within states. That report.
I had the copyright owner of that contact me and tell me not to, that it was copyrighted. So,
The debt,
that dissolve your debt manual, that's right. I had it on my website, I took it down.
as of 1957 or whenever it was, it says it's the inventory report of real property owned by the United States throughout the world.
What, that jurisdiction over federal areas within the states?
No, sorry, this is not that. About 5 years later, they did an inventory, 1962. So there's your proof that if, I'm going to look in that for New Jersey, for example. Is that in 1962, it'll show what they're claiming, the official claim of federal land within the states.
Yeah, this is one that was done on the 14th of April. Remember this one over here, when was this one done? '16th of April, 2 days.
So this is
And
hot off the press.
That one's, yeah.
That's what I knew.
That one and the FedEx ones, I sent you links to that one. So those are the most recent.
Good.
And the only thing I can say on that one, on the FedEx one, I have 18 USC 3 accomplice after the fact is one of the felonies listed. Some things, the felonies are different because of what happened. You know what I mean? So you can't necessarily put all those felonies down. Depends on what happened and how you built your case.
I understand. Yeah, if you can draw a nexus to it, if there's a nexus, then you have their actions or inactions.
Right.
So I think that what you just said, after the fact, this judge is doing this to not allowing due process.
Yeah, denial of due process. I'd certainly go after his file a BAR grievance and a judicial complaint.
Right. I agree completely, and I don't think he didn't read it. He made up something about when it was originally sent a month before to make it look like it was backdated. Like it was just complete fraud.
Right.
Like they live in that world. They lie constantly.
Right.
It's nothing to them.
Right. Well, that's what the scriptures say, is that, if they lie, then there's no truth in them.
It doesn't say that. It says that the devil, there's no truth in him. You keep saying it. It doesn't say that. There is truth in them potentially. The devil's the one who has no truth in him.
Well, it's Roman law, and it's all deceptive. It's all designed to be deceptive. The codes. I mean, why do you think it's called a code? It's because it's deceptive.
My brother-in-law's an attorney. I have brought up a couple things, and he doesn't look well when I get done talking to him. But that's because the truth is in him. So when I appeal to the truth, it causes a...
He realizes that you're right.
Right, but Scripture says there's no truth in the devil. That's the only thing it says. So when you're quoting that, I'm just trying to correct you nicely that you stop dumping on people who may actually have some truth in them, and that's what we have to appeal to. And there's that, the word guile, G-U-I-L-E, guile. Guile is lying, basically.
Right.
So years ago, when I first started learning about I asked him, I brought up that scripture and I asked him, I said, does he ever speak with guile? Because one of the apostles was called forth and Jesus said, there's no guile in this one at all. That was a pretty honorable thing for him to say. He said, there's no guile in, I think it was Bartholomew, but I can't remember.
Right, I remember something about that.
He saw him under the fig tree, Jesus did, which impressed the guy. But he said, he's a true Israelite, there's no guile in him.
Yeah, quite frankly, I consider it warfare, and best defense is a good offense.
I concur completely, and let's start laying traps for them that they're going to be the ones hanging in the tree.
I'm hoping when I get back to Texas that I'll be able to sit down with Randy Kelpin.
Right? You're going to become a real terror.
And he'll school me on some of that. Did I get to you everything that you were looking for there, Maria?
Yeah.
If there's anything else, let me know.
No, all the three things you've answered.
And the big thing is don't rush yourself.
Yes.
That'd be what I would say, is have patience with yourself.
I listened after the last time you said it. I took a step back.
What was that?
You had said that to me like a couple months ago, and I listened and I took a step back.
Right.
You know.
No rush, don't rush. Just gradually work into it. You don't want to, once bitten, twice shy. So the best thing to do is just be nice and cool and take it a little bit here and a little bit there, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the information, the true information is like having bullets in your gun, and when it comes time to use one, you'll be like, okay, I know there's no bullet, this is not a blank.
You want to see that video? With the building department
Oh, sure.
trying to get in my place?
Sure.
I'm just proud that I opened my mouth and said something.
I think,
Definitely. How long is it?
You don't have to.
I'm just wondering.
These notes are for people who can't medically tolerate a mask. So, what's going on? I'm sorry, I don't, you can pass on the audio to us, right?
trespassing is what they're doing.
My paperwork correct, the complaint goes away for me wearing a face shield? How so? How does that make any sense today? Let's just logically think about this for a second. You wanna see paperwork because someone complained that I have a face shield in my own business. I can't tolerate a mask because I can't breathe my oxygen in my body, which is disgusting, first of all. And you're gonna tell me because I gotta show you paperwork that that complaint's gonna go away. Is that what you're telling me? Logically, let's think about that. So if I show you paperwork right now, you're gonna walk away. But I'm not gonna show you paperwork because I don't have to. So you can send another inspector over and I will be gladly to speak to them outside again. I'm fine with that. I know you all are trying to do your job, but I'm trying to do my job, keeping my staff and my clients safe. And by wearing a face shield, I think I'm doing that. I think I'm doing that. And whoever made a complaint about a face shield should really move out of here because I think it's ridiculous how people are acting. I think they should just go.
Huh? I think you hit the nail on the head.
Because, no, I'm not frustrated. I'm not. I'm not frustrated. I'm just speaking. I don't care who it is. It doesn't really matter to me. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. It's probably a disgruntled employee anyway. It's fine. Tell your supervisor you can call me. I'll give you my number. It's fine. Consequences. Sure. Do you read that? Read that. I'm a PMA, I'm a private members association. I'm not on your jurisdiction. I don't have to comply with your ODIS. It's fine. What does the complaint have to do with paperwork? What's the complaint have to do with paperwork? No, because social distancing, we have 10 chairs. Everyone sits in between chairs and we have dividers. No, I don't, this is just games now. This is games. This is a game now. This is a game. This is a game. You can clearly see inside the business that everyone is separated. There's 2 people in here right now. There's sanitizer on the counter. There's a door open for ventilation. There's a $500 filter right there that I put in for ventilation. What else do you need to see? What else? Yes.
Paperwork.
I don't need to show you paperwork. And also, it states on the executive order that if anyone can't tolerate a mask, it's not need to wear it. So if my client wants to come in and can't wear a mask, she's going to be able to come in because I'm going to allow her to come in because she can't medically tolerate it. That's what your who's that? Mayor who's that? Cuomo? Governor Cuomo? On the executive order 202.17 says anyone who can't medically tolerate a mask does not need to wear one. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of that? So then I don't need to put a mask sign on. People are smart enough to know wear a mask, and people who can't wear a mask are smart enough not to wear a mask. You can tell him to call me because do not come because I'm not letting anybody in. The door is locked for that reason. If you do not have an appointment, you cannot come in.
You have a no
That's it, by
trespassing
appointment
sign?
only.
Clients get a little,
I understand
You have a private property.
They have in Arizona
standing at my door with badges.
at the Circle K's, they have no trespassing signs. So, I mean, you can certainly put that because
you don't think that'll
If-
scare the clients
if
away a little bit?
actually accept invited business guests.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You make one up. It says no trespassing.
You can have no trespassing small and then accept it, but like, don't, like, glare it. Like,
Okay.
I would put the no invited business guests down small or underneath the no trespassing. See what I'm saying? Except invited business guests.
Well, I'm asking,
That's what they put.
Why not make accept invited business guests larger?
Yeah, you could. Or you make it, it's up to you. But that's basically what they say in Arizona is no trespassing except invited business guests.
And she's not a business though.
Well,
Except
Private member
gas,
association.
Private member association.
association guests,
Okay.
private member association guests, or something like that. You see what I'm saying?
We're members.
They put those at the Circle K's.
Yes.
They put those kinds of signs at the Circle K's in Arizona.
Yeah, so,
And so, if you got no business there, you're not there to buy something, then don't come here. You know what I mean? They basically don't want bag people hanging around, sort of thing. You know what I mean?
so they've been.
But it could be used for a lot of things, including code enforcers.
I mean, that's better, because I was gonna put, any government officials, you know,
Yeah.
do not knock, do not.
No
knock.
trespassing.
Yeah, but I like that better.
That's better. No trespassing, except invited business guests or something like that. And you might want to mention whatever code in New York it is for trespassing. New York Penal Code, you know, whatever. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I like that, I think.
Except invited business guests or invited private member association guests,
Mhm.
you know, or something like that.
Private member. Right, private member association.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
He
good.
took a picture of the PMA,
Well,
sign
that's
in my window.
if you look at this grocery store down here, that Acme. It says on the parking lot, it says no parking except invited business guests. It says right on the signs in the parking lot. Not supposed to be parking there unless you're an invited business guest. Go and look at those signs. That'd be a good place to look at it and see how an example of what to put on there. Because that's guest. That's not. It's like a passenger seat in your car. It's not. You don't call it a passenger seat. It's a guest seat. That's your guest seat. You see what I'm saying? Because you're not carrying passengers or property for hire. It's just someone that's a guest. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why you call it, well, a private member association guest. You see what I'm saying? I like that. Go look at the Acme store down
Yeah,
there. They have
check it out.
in the parking lot. They have those signs there.
I love deprivation of civil rights and official misconduct. You need to read the official misconduct statute of a public servant. Official misconduct. It will be under the criminal statute.
Well, that's New Jersey. Who knows where it is in New York?
Right. I'm gonna restart this one so I can finish.
Sorry?
I wanted to watch the rest of the video.
Oh.
I think they're walking away.
I think that you're standing your ground really well. I think you're doing great.
Just press the play button.
Yeah, I did.
Thank you, and I don't care about a complaint. This face shield is for someone who can't tolerate a mask, okay? I've been wearing it for almost 9 months. Now you wanna come to my door 9 months later? I don't care if someone put a complaint. Tell that person to get a life, okay? Thank you. I don't care who complained, but you should not be coming to people's doors because someone complained. That doesn't make any sense, because I have a face shield. It's a bogus complaint because I can't breathe. You're coming here and telling me I need to wear a face mask. No. Okay, thank you.
And another thing you might want to do,
Have a great day. You're not gonna get in here ever. Try again.
put up some security cameras.
I have.
Have you?
I
And
have.
signs all over saying, smile, you're on candid camera.
I think the landlord has one, but I actually had a conversation with another health official, and he said that he can't just give me a ticket because I have cameras, and on the camera, if he says, I don't have this or I don't have that, they can see on the camera I do. So he said, I just can't write you up a ticket saying that the place is dirty or you're not following, every other chair, because I can go back with evidence with.
Showing that you do,
Right, because I said, well, how come you're not writing me a ticket? He said, I can't write you a ticket.
right,
Because there's nothing to write you a ticket, and you have cameras.
right,
So you can use that.
right.
So he was really
Yeah.
nice, that guy.
So-
One before these two guys.
Yeah, so you could break it off in his ass,
Yeah,
basically.
he gave me some intel basically
Yeah,
of like,
yeah.
he even said, I don't like my job, I don't wanna
Right.
be here, I don't wanna do this to
Right.
you right now.
Yeah,
Just show
yeah.
me the paperwork. I said, no, just say you said just tell them you saw the paperwork. But those guys
It's,
got me
the
heated.
paperwork has nothing to do with the mask anyways, it's none of your damn business.
Right, you heard him, it hasn't, we're not here for the fascia, but you just said you're here for a complaint, so which one is it? You know?
Yeah, yeah,
They have me heated. I'm shy, but when they get me heated, I don't stop.
The
Yeah.
question is, what do they have to have in writing signed by someone with a wedding signature is going to be my question.
Say that again?
What do they have to have in hand?
To see, like, am I
Whatever.
cleaning every 15
What-
minutes? Am
whatever.
I, you know,
Show me something with an order.
there's something New York is doing where you have to show them your safety guidelines that what you're doing in the business. And then I was told by the people in my group that as soon as you sign those papers and sign off, and you've given them a reason to come and check if you're actually doing those things that you signed off
Right,
on.
so
So I
never
never
signed
signed it, no.
okay, well, and this is one little tip, is if they're ever forcing you to sign anything, just put without prejudice.
Right. But I never signed it because, if I sign it or I agree that I'm doing these things,
Right, right.
then they have reason to come back and say, oh,
Right.
well, look, you said you were doing
Right, they're
this.
building a case
So,
against
so,
you.
if you did sign it, you could also put no contract without
Mhm.
prejudice. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not signing anything.
So
But if
I'm
I
just
do-
giving you a sample of the signature. The problem is, if you don't sign it, then they can put down refuse, and,
They
and
did do
under their statutes, then that's effectively the same thing as a signature. If you refuse. That's a commercial dishonor, and they're in commerce.
So it's better
That's
to
why
sign.
you sign it, and put without prejudice, and write down no contract. You see what I'm saying?
So they're forcing you to sign it, but you go ahead, sign it,
So,
and you say.
so if you put,
without
if you
prejudice.
don't sign it, they just write in there refused, and it's effectively the same thing as you signed it.
Yeah, they even put down on their report, refused to open the door.
Yeah.
I did open the door, I came out,
Right,
so,
right.
Well, so how does the 1817 work with these guys coming door to door to a private membership association?
Well, it's the same thing, right?
Right.
It's DC.
Right, so they were municipal officers from Washington DC
It's-
under federal code coming to your door.
Right.
And they don't
Building
have any
department?
jurisdiction, huh?
the building department,
Yes,
okay,
Oh, yeah.
it's
Cities
all under 18.
are all federal.
so.
They're all federal.
Let's show her 1870, have her look it up.
1817, we already looked at it. We
Yeah, but
read
she-
it several
she-
times.
I know, but she didn't
Well, no, she just doesn't get it that the cities are federal. They are, okay?
Well,
get it.
a
Again,
little
it's
confusing when
territorial.
We're talking about Texas,
Think
Jersey,
about-
and then New York.
Doesn't matter. If you read in the New Jersey Constitution, it'll have the words territorial in it. You wanna look up we can go look up the New Jersey, or the New York Constitution. It'll have territorial. Let's look it up if you want.
So there's a difference between the original sovereign state of New York that won its independence. That was a sovereign nation, New York. It was a sovereign state.
Well, the sovereign state is still there,
I
but there's
understand.
two states,
I
okay?
understand.
There's New York State, and there's the state of New York. The state of New York is a corporation that's a subsidiary of United States,
Which is in Washington.
which is a territory.
So it's territorial law as opposed to land jurisdiction. Remember I said I was on the land?
Mhm.
That's what saved me. They were operating in territorial law. The cops that were putting me in the jail
On
cell.
the sea.
Huh? Yes, they were on the sea. Those guys were on the sea. They were like swimming and paddling, and rowing.
I like how you put it, now I understand.
Hey, that's why. They're on the sea. So if you could imagine them as being on a boat and you're on the land, that now you're confident. See, you were kind of, and I've been there. I've heard the hyperventilating, and I've been there.
And
I was sweating bullets.
you heard me, my
Yes, I heard
almost
you.
cracked.
Of course.
I wanted
and
to
they,
cry.
And they heard you too. And they know that if they wanted to push the button, but they're not up yet. And they're immigrants, both of them, I think. They're probably Russian, and
Yeah.
sounded like
Yeah.
so they know all about communism, and they're just trying to get in on the action over here at a low level, John. That's I'm assuming. That's all. But,
Under New York Consolidated Laws, Tax Law, Section 1220, Territorial Limitations, says any tax imposed under the authority of this article shall apply only within the territorial limits of the city.
which is the town of Middleton, the county of Delaware,
That's
the
corporations.
state of New York. It's all territorial.
That's right.
Territorial. Think about you being out west with a bunch of Indians out there, and then there's the federal troops that went out to slay the Indians, and they basically were the law. They were the law. If the army military commander ordered you arrested, you were arrested. There was nothing you could do about it, except wait for the judge. But that's different than the land. We won.
That's right.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's why I was able to finally, after many years, I was like, okay. I told him I didn't agree to the contract. He said, wait here while we go fill out the warrant to see fill out the. It was a quasi warrant to appointment to see the judge. I said, no, I'm going to leave. Bye. And I started to walk out. I understood it was a contract they were trying to get me into. He was trying to get you to agree to open the door or give him paperwork or whatever. It was a contract he was offering you. It was an offer. You
So
rejected
you
the
stood
offer.
your ground. That's good.
Oh,
Nothing
no,
wrong with that.
it was excellent.
But it's all. But again, you don't have to. Again, that's where sending build a case against them. Okay, like they have an attorney, and send the attorney a notice and
Right.
demand, and in the notice and demand, you're basically telling them that he's territorial, and you go down through the law and explain it to him step by step, and then what happens is that if he does anything but beg forgiveness, like if one of his hired thugs come out again, then you file a BAR grievance against his ass, and you make a little affidavit. I filed this notice and demand, and he perjured his oath of office because one of his hired thugs came to my door. You see what I'm saying? And he seems to think he's got some authority here, and
Right. What oath of office did they have, those men with the building hats? Those two guys, did they have an oath of office as a public
they may or may
servant?
not. Okay, remember, they're just code enforcers. A lot of people that do that kind of work they don't have an oath, but their boss has an oath. Guaranteed, their boss will have an oath.
Right.
And the city attorney will have an oath. And the city mayor will have an oath.
So what I have done, like when those two guys approach, the first thing I do is send in an Open Public Records Act request for the oath of office.
Yeah, that's a
Oath
good
of
idea.
allegiance and
Get their
oath of-
name, get their oath of office.
Get their names for those two guys, because they may be operating without any authority at all. Because unless somebody calls them on it, they're not going to do the paperwork. They're lazy.
Right.
They make mistakes.
Well, again, it's part of building a case. And so
And so
there's maybe even a report, okay, incident report or something.
right, he
And,
had the file.
and see if you can get a copy of an incident report. All of that's
Right.
evidence.
Right, and they're not going to give it to you. You have to ask them.
And so then that's all evidence. If you serve the city attorney and accept his oath of office, that's the first thing that in my notice and demand it says, I accept your oath of office, and if you think you're representing me, you're fired, and I'm competent in my affairs and you're not competent in my affairs, and there's a bunch of points, and it's like 20 pages, but so now with yours you could probably shrink it down. You could bring up the martial law. In Texas, it's obviously martial law. Here, it is, but it's a little harder to prove because Texas is under military occupation and still is. New York, it's kind of hard to say, you know, because you can't prove it, or it's hard to prove because there was no war. There was no invasion by foreign troops. You know, there's none of that stuff. You know, there's a bankruptcy, but so you got to make your arguments the ones you can support.
How is her PMA not in DC jurisdiction when she's in a building that's on the tax rolls?
Because it's a private member association.
Okay, because that's the right to assemble, basically.
It's the right to assemble. It's
To
and
contract, to trade.
I mean, really, the way they get jurisdiction, that's not, you're not a, what do they call it? What did Chong call it? You're not a public business open to anybody.
Public accommodation.
There you
It's
go.
not a public
It's
accommodation.
not a public
The
accommodation.
door's not unlocked.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
That's
It's
the
only
key.
private club.
By
It's a
That's the
private
key.
club.
That's the key.
And
would you-
so-
right, so you could say you're welcome to come in if you are open to being charged with trespassing. You know, I'm
Yeah, I would.
free.
Matter of fact, I'd put a big sign up there. You know, no trespassing, private club, members only.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that'd be private club, members only.
that's all it's needed.
Yeah, you wouldn't even need anything else.
Right, and then
Private
if
club,
I'm,
no
if I'm
trespassing.
a member, I know I'm invited and I'm not trespassing, so
That's
that
right.
takes away this
That's
the
right.
pain of the no
That's right.
trespass.
That's right.
I asked
And-
my brother to put
And
up
it
a
sets
notice.
it up so that you can file charges. You have cameras. You record the cop showing up, and you file charges for trespassing against them. I tell you, you do that a couple times, and they're not going to come within 10 miles of that place. You see what I'm saying? Because trespassing is a whole lot more serious than a mask violation. You know, they put people in jail for trespassing.
Well, and the other thing is the public. It's the public servant aspect.
Yeah,
They're public servants who are
right.
trespassing.
If they
which
have
is
an oath of
another-
office, then that's perjury of oath.
which is a year in jail.
That's, I
and-
mean, you can probably find all sorts of impersonating a public official. They're going around claiming because what happens is when they go outside the scope of their responsibility, they immediately cease to represent the government.
they're
Now
capacity.
private
You
in
could
their
ask
private
them-
capacity.
You could ask them.
So they're wearing this military uniform,
Do you have a-
claiming to be a government official, and yet they've gone outside the scope of their responsibility, so they're private, and they're coming and trying to impose some rules on you. That's like a mafia.
That's what I felt like.
Yeah,
Like
well, no
two
doubt.
goons at my door.
Exactly. So, you know, so you got to build a case against them, but you know, and then you call up the sheriff's department and say, I got these guys trespassing, and I got some evidence here. You know, again, but so that's what I would do is,
I have the trespassing. All these statutes I have on my computer, and I kind of over time you learn
Yeah.
what they say, and learn what the key phrases are. It's like it's like a sponge. You finally absorb what that meant. Why is this phrase in here, and then what does that mean when it comes to dealing with these two guys? You could ask them, you know, are you aware? I love asking questions. Ask questions.
You're very calm.
Are you aware? Like, for example, with the police, I said, well, the one guy that pulled me over I said, are you aware I said, I'll give you my license. I said, but you do realize you're committing a federal crime, right? He didn't realize that. If you would have told those two building inspectors, that they're committing a federal offense, they might be, and tell them what the federal offense is, which is he just talked about, impersonation and inland piracy. So if you've read the statutes, who reads the statutes except lawyers and prosecutors, or people who have now been...
lawyers don't even read them, quite frankly.
Right, to pass the bar they did. They read it 20 years.
Well, they might not have. Well, no, actually, I don't know what it's court cases and stuff they use to pass the bar. I don't think they read statutes.
So what state statute were these public servants violating, and what federal statutes were they violating, just by interrogating her.
I multiple felonies.
Right. So I would ask them, do you realize there are multiple felonies you guys may be committing right now, and you probably don't understand what you're doing? Would you like me to explain and offer you, what you're about ready to step into? One cop, he's the son of a cop, okay? And I said, "You're Simonson." I said, "You look a little young." He says, "That's my dad." And I said to him that I'm willing, I said, "I'm going to warn you, okay? If you proceed and do what these people are asking you to do, you could end up with a year in jail with no parole. Just so you know." That's the way I said it. I put my hand. Just so you're aware. And then I explained why. And then I said, I probably said, if it was me, I wouldn't obstruct me right now. I would just wait on the sidewalk peaceably and let me deal with these people myself. And he did that. The next week, a lieutenant came aboard and didn't listen to me and actually blocked me from going into my church. I said, "Do you realize you're committing a criminal offense right now? A felony?" But he's done it all of his career. Why would today be any different?
Well, nobody's complained.
I asked him, "Do you have a sign?" Because an attorney has told the church that that attorney letter to me telling me not to come there is an order. It's an attorney telling me I'm not allowed to go there. They hired him to send me a letter to tell me I can't go there. That's what they did. I said, "Yeah." And the woman says to the police, "We have a stack of letters that we sent him." I said, "Yes, and not a single one of them is enforceable. Do you, officer, have a judge's order in your possession? Yes or no?" The answer was no. They've never had one, ever. So the way they do it is always after the fact. They create it after the fact. And so when the guy put me in handcuffs, when he learned that warrant he thought printed off of a teletype machine was valid, when he found out he needed to have an actual physical signed warrant in his hand to take me away, like it's common sense, but they've never had to have one their whole lives. Yeah. 20 years on the force. So when they show up, ask them questions and prove their, give evidence of their authority. You have evidence of who you are. Now make them have evidence. And by engaging with them, like that, to me, I've quit engaging with them. I only do it for educational purposes now, because when I'm doing my videotaping, I'm doing it to educate people. It's not because it's to basically go through the process with the 18th, the federal. And then he had you probably didn't watch my videos, but they are full of information where I sent when I had my camera, and I said, why is there a federal flag on your uniform surrounded in gold fringe? Do you know why, officer? No. Well, let me explain why that's there. Because you're operating under Washington, D.C. federal authority. You're a federal officer. And you think that you have jurisdiction here. You don't have jurisdiction over me. Now, 4 years ago they did, because I was lost at sea. I was out there. They had declared me dead 7 years after I was born, using the birth certificate. The state registrar probated my estate without me knowing. And they get to use the proceeds of that estate because I'm lost at sea. So they get to play with the money. And that's what they do to all of us, and that's where the funding all comes from. And they keep building a bigger and bigger state force, which is doing things illegally. The state is an illegal pirate operation. There's not, to the best of my knowledge, the one state like the Navajo Nation, that's a real nation. And when you go on their land, you're under their jurisdiction. There was just a court case in Oklahoma that there's overlapping jurisdiction, and the guy was convicted of murder under the state of Oklahoma law. He said, sorry, this is Navajo, or whatever it was, Indian land. We need to vacate this conviction. And the Supreme Court said they're right. He's right. You had no jurisdiction to try him and convict him or sentence him. So jurisdiction. Jurisdiction.
It's all about jurisdiction.
What was the jurisdiction that he was using? His hat and his boss. Okay. Do you have an oath of office? Could have been a question. Ask him, do you have one? I don't know. I'll tell you what, why don't you go and find out and then come back and talk to me? That would have ended, perhaps. So you have to, the oath of office is key. These officers, I would ask them, I said, are you aware? Remember when you marched into City Hall and had to sign a new oath? I said, I was the reason. And like it builds credibility in their mind, because now they're like talking to somebody who knows more than they do, and maybe they better watch themselves. So the 1817 is really good, because territorial jurisdiction is where they claim they have authority. And what is territorial jurisdiction? Territorial jurisdiction is the Admiralty, and they do. If you were a business, they could come in and do all that.
If you were a public accommodation,
Right, public accommodation.
but you're not, you're private.
Let me go see if Chang left that.
Club.
He might have left that piece of paper over there. If it had that, that would be pretty good too.
Well, that's gonna be Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I know, but it shows.
But still, I'm sure it'll help.
It shows the. It shows the basis of why they're not a public accommodation, that they're concerned, that they're public, that they're private.
I think I'm still gonna file a bar complaint against this scumbag bar member.
Absolutely. You could ask them, who's your attorney? I love that. That's going to be one of my new lines.
Yeah.
Who's your attorney?
Get your name, your
He'll
attorney.
be like-
I need
he'll
to
be like-
send him a letter. I
What?
need a
He'll
name
be
and
like-
address.
Attorney? I don't have an attorney as a worker, but he does.
You better have an attorney.
He has an attorney. I'm going to start using that, Glenn.
Good.
Please provide me with the name of your attorney.
Glenn, is it okay that I don't cash app you and I'll do cash before I leave?
Sorry?
Is it better cash before I leave, or do you want me to cash app you for the?
Oh, cash is always good. Whichever way is better for you is fine with me.
Okay, and
Yeah.
then is there a price difference from being Saturday and Sunday, or is it the same Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
You know, make me an offer. Make me an offer. That's fine. I'm glad you were able to come.
I'm glad to. Who's your attorney? What was the other question? Do you have it open?
I know that you get to pay the same price you paid the first time around, so there's no raise in the fee or rate or anything like that. Now, as far as Saturday or Sunday, then to make me an offer. And I don't even, quite frankly, I don't even pay attention. I have no idea what you paid before, and you know I don't pay attention.
I believe we paid $150 each the last time.
Sorry?
$150 each the last time.
Oh, was it? Okay. Well, like I said, make me an offer. Whatever. I'm gonna be okay with it. Whatever you do, it's fine. I mean, you bought some trusts and all that stuff, and you know,
What are these? How much?
those are $10. But that's I think a really good idea is just put a sign up there, private club, no trespassing, members only. You see what I'm saying? And you know that ought to neuter them right there.
take the original,
Uh-huh.
and I'll take 3 of those.
Sure,
Is that okay?
sure.
Is that a good
That's
offer?
fine. Yeah, that's
Okay.
a good offer. I'll
Okay,
take it.
good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What's that? Is that the same, just a different
Yeah,
bag?
this
I wanna
is,
get one for
these
me.
are vertical ones.
Uh,
They don't have the padding that those ones have. They might be a little bigger, I'm not sure.
One
But
for
they're
me, one
vertical.
of Aiden's.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem, thank you.
No, I appreciate your time and
Appreciate you coming.
I'm glad it was a small group.
Yeah, well, small makes it so we got lots of time to talk,
Yeah,
you know.
no,
Um,
it was worth it.
Most everybody was online this time. There was a lot of people actually that, you know, I think that would have probably come, or not a lot of people, but I know some people would have come if it wasn't online, and then some people couldn't come except that it was online. You know what I mean? And so some people had to have the online, and you know, whatever. I'm not going to quibble over it. My attitude is that I get 3 weeks away on the beach, and so no matter who shows up, I still get 3 weeks on the beach.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it's a networking thing. You get to network with people and share ideas, you know, and all the rest of it. So it's a win-win any way you want to look at it.
I definitely understand a lot more this time meeting you. Again,
Sure,
you know.
sure. Well, it's when this was first brought to me, I told the guy he was nuts. You know, I said, you don't know what you're talking about. And then he brought out some court cases, and I thought, holy cow, I got to look into this. And kind of went from there. You know? But so it's a networking thing, you know. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you. And I have these books at home. He read them. I didn't yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't do it. I started this one and then I
No, I
just.
didn't read the treason one yet.
Okay, well, that's good. So I can start putting this stuff away then.
Yeah.
But people ordered some. I actually shipped 3 of these things out. 4 of them. I shipped one of those too. I shipped them out since I've been here. People order them online. Eh?
Yeah.
So it's a good thing I brought them. But anyway,
Is he getting something?
I don't know. Oh, I think he was looking for that private member association thing.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh.
But so, it's good to keep in touch. Who knows where